I'm Jeff Cook,
And I'm TJ Wilson.
and this is Around the Circle.
I'm walking slowly, I'm taking my time. All I could talking is starting to rhyme. I'm letting go of lonely, letting go of strife. I just can't get enough of this beautiful life.
The Enneagram is a map of the human personality. It's a tool for navigating relationships, creates language for what motivates us, and helps us look at the way we look at everything else. Most importantly, the Enneagram's a mirror because sometimes you need help seeing yourself. My name is Jeff Cook. I'm a philosopher in Greeley, Colorado, and with me is TJ Wilson, businessman, lover of theology, and Enneagram ninja.
Hello.
How's it going, man?
I'm doing all right. Welcome back to you all. This is the second part of our look into how each type goes about getting love. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I recommend going back and listening to our previous episode, Getting Love, Part 1. So here we go with Type 6.
Boom, we'll move into sixes. Sixes are going to be part of that reactive stance, and they are going to be pragmatists like threes and nines in terms of how they connect to the world. So there's going to be, again, for sixes, the earning of the love they desire taking place there. You want to talk about sixes earning affection from others?
Yeah, and sixes, a big part of what sixes are looking for is security and support. So they're looking for a relationship with someone who is going to offer them that kind of like support, stability, guidance, strength that they think they need. And they're, in the unhealthiest way I can say it, they're looking for someone to tell them how to be safe. Like, what do I do to be safe?
Yeah.
And they're going to seek out, like, the way that they seek and find love has to do with like wanting to be safe and supported and taken care of and given that kind of guidance.
I would imagine that a lot of sixes have their radar out for people who just simply appear strong, capable, supportive. Mm-hmm. And that's the attachment side of the six may come out there.
Right.
Of here, and the testing side of the six comes out here as well.
Right,
I'm gonna push and see whether or not you really are as sturdy as you seem to appear. Yeah.
Right. Because they will be continually, like, they're looking for an authority in their life, and that's not necessarily in romantic relationships, but they're continually looking for, like, what are the boundaries, what are the rules, so that I know how to be safe. And they're also constantly pushing against those boundaries to make sure whoever set them in place is trustworthy.
Yep.
So there's a big push-pull in relationship about, like, are you safe? And I'm going to continually test you to make sure that you are in fact safe.
Yep. Exactly what we were saying with the fours there. And to push into this, the validating of my emotions is a big deal for fours and for sixes.
Yep. If you are constantly... This is a big problem for sixes. If you are constantly telling them that the thing that they're worried about is dumb, like if you're going to be continually sort of rejecting the legitimate fears and emotional space that a six is bringing up, then you're going to have a really untrusting six. Like they will not feel safe if you are telling them that the way that they feel is not worthy. Is not worthwhile.
That in and of itself is showing that you aren't the security source that they want to connect with. Yeah.
Right.
In order to get the love from those that they want to attach to, then what does that look like?
Well, the earning part speaks up there. It's they
Sure.
will. They'll come alongside, support, and work really hard to show themselves as a partner worth gaining.
Yeah. Often, and this is the earning and reactive come together here. They're going to be reacting to the people that they want to connect with. Yeah.
Right. And giving them like sixes. Helen Palmer in this book described sixes as named them the trooper, which was the first I had ever seen that name, and I really like it. I don't like names because I think that the names sort of pigeonhole a lot about the type, but I really like the trooper as like sixes are going to be the ones that do the work that no one else does. And like speaking from my own experience, my partner is a six. We've been together for over 10 years. And one of the things that I realize I like so much about being partnered with her is that she picks up so much of the stuff that I have not done. Like she comes alongside and does a ton of the work that needs to get done that I can't or have not. Like she's picking up the pieces along the way and doing the work that needs to get done because I'm at work or I have a chronic pain disease, and like it's often the case that I can't do some of the stuff around the house that needs to get done, and she does it because that's who she is. She's a six, and sixes endear themselves to other people by being supportive in these ways. Twos do it for love. Sixes do it for support.
Yep. Let's then talk about the repressed center for the stance. The sixes are thinking repressed, and this will come out actually in how they connect with others and even how they receive love, I think.
Right. Absolutely. Sixes are in the head center. 5, 6s, and 7s all take in information through the data processing and information and observance, kind of like let's categorize the information to put it in its right place. And 6s, like 3s and 9s, are also repressed in that main center. So 6s struggle the most with thinking. So like we said before about 2s, 6s actually really struggle with discerning their own inner voice, with figuring out. This is why 6s are constantly pushing against the authorities, is because they don't trust their own thoughts, they don't trust their own actions, and they need to be reassured continually. So they're pushing against other people looking for reassurance. And they really struggle with trusting their own thoughts, and so they need. It's not that they outsource that, but they need someone else to tell them that their thoughts are trustworthy.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about this, but often in our repressed center, that can be the place. Where we really connect to our lovers, or to, I suppose, also to friends and the rest, but. I know this in terms of my own thinking repression, that some of the things that I find most attractive in my friends and in my wife are their abilities to speak wisdom into spaces that I'm really struggling with. Mm-hmm. And I know that's the case with 6s. It's because here's the present focus for both 1s, 2s, and 6s is where their stance is. That's their orientation to time. It's their fear needs to be addressed now.
Right.
Now is the place that we're focusing.
Right.
And so if you're able to speak into that, that actually has quite a bit of power in terms of connecting.
Right.
It's also the case that with 1s, 2s, and 6s, they are seeking to earn the love of others now.
Right.
And that orientation in time is just worth noting there.
Right.
It's not for tomorrow. It's we're going to do it today.
And notice that the stance is all one. It's they are earning because they're thinking repressed, and it has to be now.
Yep. Come on. 6s then, in terms of this type of relationship that they want, seem to want a supportive relationship, a faithful relationship. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. We've been talking a lot about the word fidelity with 6s lately, and while they will constantly question it, and I look forward to the day when it's not a fear that my partner ever deals with, they are desperately looking for someone that they can trust will never leave them.
Yeah. Love this as the target. I want to get love, but the type of love I want is a relationship that looks like this. This is the aim. On the flip side, then, if the relationship isn't working, 6s detach.
Right.
And so if it's not a stable relationship, if it's not a faithful relationship, I imagine that would be the breaking point. Yeah.
Yeah, and it becomes when I don't feel safe anymore, when you have clearly demonstrated that you can't be trusted, that you can't be relied on, that you can't offer me this kind of support that I need. That's a place where I have to get the heck out of there.
Yep. That's again, I just want to bring it up for the 4s and 6s when they're testing relationships. It's about that. It's
Right.
not. It's not. It may feel overwhelming to the beloved to hear the questions routinely coming from the 6 or the speaking over their own self-doubt, but what that's really about is the 6 testing the relationship. Yeah.
Right. And even to take that a step further, it's really easy for those of us who are in relationship with 6s to sort of take their doubt onto ourselves, to hear their doubt and assume that means that they doubt our capability or what we're offering. It's really easy to do that when you're in a relationship with a 6. But the truth is their doubt starts with themselves. And so when they are pushing that outward, you have to recognize that they need reassurance. They aren't assuming that you are incapable. They're assuming that they have made a bad decision and they need reassurance.
Mm-hmm. Shoring up the thinking repression there.
Right.
And validation colors that as well.
Yep. They need their feelings validated.
Might be doubly hard for a 9 going to 6 in that kind of stressful situation, I imagine.
No, it's fine. It's because everything's going to be all right. Everybody just calm down.
Yeah, once that coping style breaks, though,
easy.
and you move into stress.
Then I'm throwing things, and it's a whole mess. Just kidding. I've never... My spouse and I have been together for over 10 years, and we have never had a real fight because I avoid conflict, and she doesn't want to break things. So
Yeah.
it'll be fine.
Last word on 6s?
I think it's really important to know that once a 6 is on your side, they will be on your side forever. Like if you don't do anything to break them, they're in it to win it. Like their fidelity is a big deal for 6s, and they are going to support you through a lot of crap, and it's awesome.
Well, moving to the 7s. 7s are in the aggressive stance. They take hold of love in the ways that 3s and 8s do.
Take hold of. That's such a nicer way than saying demand.
I've been word shopping, been wordsmithing. But they are idealists, and so just like 1s and 4s, they're pulling people into a certain type of relationship. And they're kites. That was our name for the idealists. And I love this image, especially for 7s, that if you're in a romantic relationship with a 7, you're going someplace.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's there's some Peter Pan going on.
Yeah.
You know, take my hand, we're going to Neverland, baby.
Yep.
What comes to your mind when thinking about 7s in relationship?
So 7s are demand, assert, aggress, take hold of. These are all different and interesting ways of saying that 7s are going to do what they want to do. And they're like that idealism means that 7s are looking for they're looking for a partner in their adventures. They're looking for someone who is not only going to allow them to do all the fun things that they want, but someone who is going to join them and even inspire them into all of the fun things that they want to do. And so a 7 would have a hard time with someone who would hold them back ever. And they want freedom, they want opportunity, and they're looking for someone who is not only going to give that to them, but is going to join them in that.
Yeah. I hear just a double-edged sword there in terms of sometimes it's really good for the heart of a 7 and the soul of a 7 to pause and be still, be present, to be, dare we say, sober. And yet, on the other side, what the 7 offers is, here's the energy and adventure that we can go on.
Right. Yeah, it's good for 7s to have those experiences that sort of hold them in place. Mm-hmm. But they're never looking for it.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
and they're not going to go through it willingly.
Right.
So they won't be looking for partners that are going to offer them that. They might hopefully stick with experiences. Like if they have a really hard time with a partner that forces them through that kind of experience, they might stick with it. But they're not going to seek out a partner that is going to give them that.
Right. I had an image that popped into my head out of nowhere. I have a relative who at their wedding gave as one of the gifts a set of sleeping bags to his bride. He's a seven. Sure. The sleeping bags zipped together. So they created one like big double bag, you know, and connection, adventure. It's just all over that gift, which I hadn't seen before.
Perfect.
Seems like you characterized it there. Where the 2s again want the loving relationship, or the 3s the praiseworthy relationship, and the 6s the supportive relationship. The 7 wants that joy-filled relationship.
Yeah.
What is so great about your marriage? Well, we do stuff together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if they can't say that, that might really be something that's a place to struggle, I imagine.
Absolutely. Well, I would guess that if it got to that point, you might be looking at some real problems.
Yep.
In the relationship.
And that's where the opposite side for all the idealists, when their ideals aren't met, they're going to enter a place of frustration.
Right.
Where the pragmatists are going to detach, relationists are going to shut down their inner life. The idealists, the 1s, 4s, and 7s, they get frustrated.
Yeah. And for 7s, that frustration will come out, and because they're avoiding negative experiences anyway, frustration is a negative experience, and so they're going to run away from it.
Correct. Yeah. Ooh, that's again another perfect storm there.
Right.
That's a double whammy.
Yep.
Orientation to time is all over this as well. There's going to be some futures that we're doing all these things in the future together, envisioning where we're going to go. The idealism of the future in the heart of a 7, I imagine, is real strong.
Right. And it's not necessarily, here's all the things we're going to do together, but here's all the things we could do together.
Oh, there you go. It's potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So long as that potential still exists, there's life to be had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The repressed center for 7s is they're feeling repressed.
Mm-hmm.
How does that materialize in relationships?
Well, I know they're avoiding the negative parts. Like that's a big part of how their feeling repression comes out, is that they're avoiding negative experiences. They run away from pain and bad feelings, and they don't want to have bad experiences. So you can have a fight with a 7. They just need to know that it's going to end. They can have the disagreements. They can have the pain, the things, but they need to know that it's going to end quickly, that it's going to be over. And so that is a big part of their emotional repression. It's also like because they are looking to avoid negative experiences, they really struggle with seeing the problems. So we've talked about the other triad that we're not talking about, and 7s are in the triad where they spin positive with 2s and 9s. And this is part of it, is that they don't recognize, or they are actively ignoring warning signs and the problem in the relationship. So if you are in a relationship with a 7, you're like, this thing is going to break us. They may not know that thing exists because they're working really hard to not have a bad time. So not only are they ignoring, like, are they moving away from having negative experiences, but they're also going to be ignoring the problems and the warning signs and the things that could potentially break their relationship in the future.
Because again, what they want is a joy-filled relationship.
Right. Why be sad when you can have fun?
And that's what they have to offer. And that's
right.
how, and I imagine, and this is a tricky thing for 7s that I know a lot of mature 7s name, recognize, and push against. But when you have gotten the love and affection of others for years and years and years by being
the fun one.
Yeah. That's hard to step away from that at times.
Right. And it is often part of why We talk about fives sort of Irish goodbying a lot because fives have the least amount of energy, and when they're done, they're done. They'll just leave. So fives are often the type that are most likely to just like sort of all of a sudden, where's Steve? Did Steve just leave? Sevens do this as well, but it's because they're on to the next thing already.
Yep. Bang, that's what I got. Anything else on sevens?
I think a good thing to know about sevens is because they're looking for partner with like energy, excitement, and also still being in that head triad, they're also seeing a lot more about the people around them than the people are necessarily offering. So sevens will be attracted to people in multifaceted ways because when you turn a diamond, there's a new way to look at something. And that in and of itself is an opportunity. So sevens are not just looking for like the prettiest person who also likes to go camping. They're also like there's a lot of different aspects about you that sevens will be attracted to. And you can explore so much more. Like sevens won't be interested in boring people. But if you're well-rounded, sevens will be like, yeah, all right, let's talk about something that I've never heard of before. Great.
Yeah. Omnivorous.
Yeah.
Moving to the eights. Eights are also going to take hold of relationships, and the aggressive, assertive, demanding posture of the eight is their stance. Eights are like twos and fives, going to be relationists, so they are going to offer some strength, going to offer some protection. They got something to offer that you desire, and that is how they connect and get the love they want.
Yeah. Yeah, and eights offer an interesting side to themselves in relationships because they are very comfortable stepping in and being the leader.
Yep. In fact, desirous of that position.
Oftentimes, yes. I don't think that's a rule. I think it's something to point to for eights, but I think if you're not going to, they're fine with being the one to make decisions.
I'd be curious of your thoughts on this, because this is something that I'm wrestling with in my house right now. With our 8 child, trying to find spaces where they really feel like they can be the boss, where they can feel like they can be strong. Like, I'm a grown-ass man. Obviously, I can do most of the stuff in my house myself, but finding those places where my 8 child can realize their strength is actually me loving them,
Yep.
opening that space.
Yep.
Be your best self. Show your protective, strong side. That's what I meant by often wanting to be leaders or wanting to be, at least a driver.
Right. And I would say there's a really thin line here where this can go wrong.
Yep.
But I think that also offering the space where that's needed is also really valuable to 8s. To say, I need your strength in these ways. I need you to step in and take charge of this space.
Right.
Is really valuable. Not just here, you can have this, but also I need this from you.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing is my 8 child is also on to us and realizes that this is how we're trying to control them. And now they're reacting against that because they're smart.
Probably one of the reasons that they tell you not to type your kids. It's because if they figure it out too early, you can't control them anymore.
At least share the insights here.
Just wait till they're 18 and they have to make their own decisions and live with the consequences.
The thing that I think is unknown with 8s is I think they want relationships where they don't feel vulnerable, and that this is really a thing that they're desirous of. It's not like you might say, we want the strong relationship. No, I think that the 8 wants a relationship where they can be fully vulnerable because they don't get a chance to have that very often.
Right. Because like that's like getting at the heart of 8ness is that they are working to make sure that their vulnerabilities are not known because they don't want to be taken advantage of. That's why they don't want to be controlled. It's because they don't want anyone to use their vulnerability to hurt them. And so I think at their core, part of their relationist thing is that they want to find spaces where it's okay for them to be vulnerable, where they know that it's okay for them to be vulnerable, regardless of if they're going to or not.
Yeah. And notice that's where their heart's message is the heart's message for an 8 is I will not betray you. And getting to that space where that's the sort of intimacy that you experience, I imagine, is a very fulfilling target.
Right.
Also feeling repressed. You want to talk about that in terms of how 8s get love?
I think one of the places that 8s are going to struggle in intimacy the most is right here, is in this feeling repression, because 8s showcase it more than the other 2 types, but it's still very true for 3s and 7s as well, that part of that feeling repression is not understanding the effect that you have on other people. So in relationship, especially in intimate relationships, it's really easy for all 3 types, but particularly for 8s, to do the thing that they want to do and not understand how that's affecting the other. And particularly not understanding when the other says, this hurts me. And so 8s, within that feeling of repression, 8s need to recognize that about themselves and come to the table with a little bit of not just humility, but also willingness to say, I don't understand this, and I need you to help me understand it. Mm-hmm. And for people who are in relationship with 8s, like that is something you have to know about the 8 in your life, is that they actually don't understand that they hurt you. Like it's not part of how they see the world.
Right.
So you're going to have to explain it to them.
And that's a place of connection, because they
Right.
desire the straightforward, direct message of this is how things went.
Right. This is, if you know 8s, you know people who are pushing boundaries, who are, let's say, uncouth on purpose. 8s like to make their presence known and see where they fit by being big. And that's not just like that comes from this core of wanting intensity. And so when they fight, they want to have fights. They want someone who's going to push back against them.
Yep.
Like that passion for life extends into their relationships as well, and they want someone that is also going to match that intensity.
Mm-hmm.
So,
future focused in their stance. You got any wisdom on that front in terms of 8s and looking forward to the future of their relationship?
I think this is a big part of the idea of getting into an argument with an 8 is in part because of that future focus. It's like they want to solve these things now so that they can get back to this thing that they're working toward. Mm-hmm. 8s are always working towards something, and there's something to be done. They don't even just have a plan, but they're already actually working on the plan of the thing that they're going toward. 8s are goal oriented in a lot of the ways, is like 3s, but their goals aren't necessarily about achievement or things that you can put a star on. It's just the thing that they're working toward next. And so in their relationships, they're looking for someone who's going to be working toward the next thing with them.
I hear a lot in the language of 8s, this is how I'm going to provide for you in the future.
Mm-hmm.
There's a real famous money guy on the radio who is always talking about changing his family tree in terms of their finances. And that is provision, and that is about 30 years from now, right, and the people he cares about. We work with a gentleman who also, when thinking through his own career, is always like, this is, where the resources are going to come in 10 years from now.
Yeah, it's a future oriented. Yep.
This is also why, it's the 6s and 8s aren't always the pairing, but there are a lot of 8-6 romantic relationships, I imagine, in part because of this, that future focus is how I'm going to provide, and future focus, who's going to support me. Those overlap very cleanly.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think 6 and 8 pair together often for many other reasons, but that's definitely one of them.
Yeah. Last word on eights?
If you can't fight with your 8, you're going to have problems.
Yeah, is that part of how eights are getting love? I mean, that putting themselves out in the fight itself. I'm showing you I'm strong in this moment right here. If I fight with you like this, guess what I'm going to do with the person who's actually a threat?
Well,
You know?
I think that's offering, like that example is offering a sort of support that 8s bring to the table. But I think it's also like, if you can't argue with an 8, then an 8 knows that they have the power.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is how they know their place in the world is by testing those boundaries. And 8s want to be matched in intensity. And if you can't argue, then they're not matched. And they know that.
Yeah. On the getting love side, I'm gonna play this out just because I think this may be true, but I've never said it before. I could see 8s, especially for, like, say, to their kids or to their friends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeking to make you stronger and better, and
Yep.
when I do that, I'm now deserving of the love that I actually do want. I do
Right.
want it to be the case that I'm connected to other people.
Well, and I think that even a lot of 8s would see that as, like, if you are strong, then I've done my job.
Mm-hmm.
And that feeling repression will even come in a little bit here with them being okay with sort of like, this is over now. We can all move on because I've done my job and you were stronger for it.
In terms of, like, being done with the relationship or with the event?
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
I think that 8s, I have a hard time believing that any healthy parent would be fine with never talking to their child again after they grow up.
Right.
But I think 8s in particular would be okay with not having the kind of closeness they have with their teenager as they do with, like, when their child moves out and is strong and stable and capable and taking care of themselves. If that intimacy is broken, I think that 8s would be a little bit more okay with it than a lot of other types because they've done their job.
Right.
In making that person stronger and capable and preparing them for the world.
Yeah. Isn't it, I suppose it's the motive there of why would they prepare their kid for the world in that way. I bet you in their heart of hearts, they long for the kid to see, oh, my dad toughened me up, really prepared me. I wasn't ever going to be, lacking capability going into the world.
So that parent offered me the strength that they had, and I was able to take it.
That's what the
become
8
my own.
offered.
Sure.
And
yeah.
when I offer, what I'm really doing is saying, you should love me because this is what I'm giving you something of such value in this place.
Yeah.
And
Taking care of you in a moment of need.
This actually, to put my thumb on something, I imagine this is why a lot of folks who may have 8s in their lives who treated them like that didn't understand that their parent was trying to love them in that moment. It just felt like an assault,
Right.
And it may have been an assault. It might have been
Right.
but at their best, the 8 is actually, this is the only way I know how to love you, kid.
Right.
Kind of.
Is offering my strength so that you'll become stronger.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to think on that for a bit. Yeah. Okay. Well, moving to the 9s.
Great.
9s, like 4s and 5s, are going to be in the withdrawn stance. I think that this is core to 9s in terms of getting love, is they are withdrawing and creating atmospheres of peace for the people that they love.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to carve out this space over here, and it's going to be calm. It's going to be enjoyable. It's going to be a place that we control. And that is the extension of care.
And I would also say that 9s are part of that withdrawal is in fact a withdrawal from themselves. And this is part of where merging comes in.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's I'm going to step away from my own desires so that we remain connected.
Oh, that's interesting. Is that about getting love or perhaps the experience of love? It's probably both.
Yeah.
It's just
I think
what
it's
that
both.
looks like. Yeah. That merging goes right alongside their affect. So 9s, like 6s and 3s, are going to attach.
Yep.
And attachment for 9s looks like merging.
Right. as a 9, I feel like I have a lot more to say about this than I do about anything else. So I'm trying to contain my thoughts a little bit. But like there's an aspect of attaching to the type of person that offers the space and the support for all of the things that the 9 is neglecting.
Like you want somebody to give you space to neglect some stuff?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
So like in particular, I think about I'm not great at taking care of myself physically. And when I lived alone, I ate out a lot because I wasn't very good at keeping food in my house because I was very forgetful and I was too busy with other things that like this is part of 9ness, is that we're distracted by other things and we forget the things that are important. And I would forget to go grocery shopping because I was doing other things. And now, because I live with someone that I've attached to significantly, the fridge is always stocked with food because this person cares enough for both of us that I am able to not worry about this anymore. And it also means that I have the opportunity to eat 3 meals a day because I always have food in the house. This is part of my attachment to my spouse. So then once 9s are attached in that way, part of what they offer is the things that they are actually focused on. So they can offer the sort of the peace, the stability, the calmness.
Yep.
Now that they're like for me, now that I'm attached to someone who takes care of me, I'm not spending any of my energy doing this thing that I'm not very good at, and I can actually focus on the thing that I am really good at, and because I'm bad at spreading my energy around.
I think that does put your thumb on. That's the sort of relationship the 9 would want to say they are pursuing or aiming at. I want this peaceful relationship.
Yeah.
You said earlier, actually, that you and your spouse had not gotten in a fight in many, many years.
Right.
That's the target.
Right.
Yeah, and what you offer in significance. We have a good buddy who's a 9, and in talking to him about his work environment, has routinely been frustrated that other people don't see how much he brings to the work environment because they think he's lazy, and what he's actually bringing is calm and stability and working across, being able to interpret other people's language to one another, and that's a huge gift.
Right.
Sometimes unrecognized.
Right. And especially in the midst of relationship, like thinking about if I was dating, like actively dating, pursuing a relationship right now in 2020, I would be in hell.
Oh, really?
Because everything is chaos right now. And it's not even 2020. I said the wrong year because I have no idea what's going on because everything is chaos. It's like the idea of pursuing something that is so tumultuous and like everything is broken and so many, like, supply chain is, who knows what's going on with the global supply chain, and like masks, are we wearing masks? Are we not wearing masks? Are you vaccinated or not vaccinated? And all of this other stuff on top of just normal human interaction. If you get in with a 9, things are going to calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
And they're going like we offer perspective, and like we want things to be easy. So we're going to work really hard. We're not going to work that hard, but we're going to work to make things easy because if things are calm, things are better. It's easier.
I don't think there's anything wrong with this, but it may come out as a negative. There's something about 9s that I'm imagining being fantastic relationships when people rebound from terrible relationships.
Sure.
Like the contrast is actually something really working for the 9 in terms of like somebody who's gone through and this may not be a romantic relationship, but say you have your lover has a terrible parent, like an abusive parent, and then they connect to the 9 as their romantic partner because this person makes things stable.
Right.
So I have 2 people in my head that immediately pop there. Or in the relationship of my stepfather and mom, my mom's a 9. He was a 7 married to an 8. And his second wife being a 9, I can totally see he just adored my mom. But I adored her because of the sense of stability and positivity, I imagine, that she really brought in contrast to his ex-wife.
Yeah.
Boom. Did that come across as a dig? I didn't mean that as a dig.
Totally got it. And if you had said the relationship before they meet the person they're going to spend the rest of their life with, that's a problem. But
no, it's more. Yeah, it's that actually. I think 9's gifts often just don't get seen on the face of it, and it's the withdrawn side.
Yeah.
I suppose all 4s, 5s, and 9s have that element in terms of getting love. Mm-hmm. They're getting love from a withdrawn stance.
Yeah. And I think that 9s are also going to offer a lot of space for people to be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that might mean figuring out who they are.
Boom. And that's a gift.
Yep.
Some of the things, that again, what the 9 is giving. And when that's not reciprocated, when love isn't given, clearly the 9's presence didn't matter. You offered something of true treasure that wasn't realized.
Right. And then there's a detachment.
Yep. And then there's a boom. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the move. Come on. You want to talk any more about repressed center for 9s and getting love?
Yeah, 9s, that we complete the triad of, so 8s, 9s, and 1s are all in the body triad. They're all action focused and a sense of the world around them. They take in the world through their body, so it's an intuition, and like that action focus is heavy. It's but with 9s are also action repressed, just like 3s and 6s are repressed in their primary center. So that withdraw is very much we're not, if it's not clear, I am a 9. We're not good at doing the things that need to be done when they need to be done. And so we are going to struggle with stepping up and like making decisions and asserting ourselves and doing the thing that is ours to do, because we're just not paying that much attention to what is ours to do. Somebody will do it. It's fine. If somebody directly asks me, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll get on that. But I never think that is the thing that's mine to do. And so 9s are often going to really struggle with initiating in relationships. 9s are going to have a really hard time with putting their own stuff forward. And so if you're in relationship with a 9, you're often going to have to sort of pull that out of them. And you need to give them space to figure out what it actually is that they want, that they think they're supposed to be doing. Because like that, we talked about that merging. It's so easy for 9s to just go along with what other people want because it's easier.
Anything worth saying about past tools that 9s would use out of their stance?
I think a lot of the way that they behave is based on their experiences from their past.
Mm-hmm.
Like what worked, what didn't. These are things that make sense to me, and this is how I'm going to navigate these relationships. And it's the problem with that is that each person that you interact with is not the same as the person that they remind you of in the past. It's like all of our experiences are new, and 9s relying on our past experiences to inform this one. We're not reacting to what's in front of us necessarily.
Sure. That's good. You did mention the space, which I thought was at least worthwhile, that in getting love from others, they're offering space, but also 9s want space.
Right.
as well, and that's a reciprocation.
Yeah, I think it's really important to prime the pump with nines. Like there are some types where like it's really valuable to say, this is the thing that we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about it at this future point. I need you to come to the table having prepared yourself for this. And that will, I think with nines, that will go a long way in helping them figure out what the heck they're trying to, whatever it is you're trying to address.
Sure.
Because we're not good at thinking in real time.
Yeah, it needs to get into the past in order to be processed.
Right.
That's good. We'll move into the ones. This is our last number. Ones are idealists like 4s and 7s, so they're pulling others. But their stance is an earning posture. So ones are going to earn love by pulling others into some sort of good relationship, some sort of healthy relationship, a whole relationship. This seems to me the dynamic going on with ones in their pursuits. Yeah. You got thoughts on this?
I don't think it's unfair to say that ones have very high expectations for themselves and people they are in relationship with.
Yep.
And
in fact, that might be what they're offering. I'm offering myself as somebody who has high expectations, who has earned the love of the person in front of them because of how well they've managed their own life.
Yep. And that's as idealists, ones are going to be looking for not only the kind of excellence that people can offer, but the kind of people who can join them in their pursuit of excellence. It's like there's so much about one, like they're often called the reformer or the improver. Like ones are looking to make the world around them better and partnering with people. Like they bring high expectations to their relationships because the people around them can be better, and that's part of what they're offering. But they're also offering the opportunity to join them in their pursuit of improving the world around them.
Yeah, I think that's a worthwhile thing to talk about with ones. Is their lover the thing to be improved, or is their lover the partner that's going to help them improve other things? And that can be a real... Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the answer is yes.
Ooh, I think that it's real unhealthy. I think we should probably see it as unhealthy for the one to get into a romantic relationship where they're trying to improve their partner.
I agree that, like, as a goal, that is an unhealthy thing. But I also think that it's a natural thing that the one wants. So, like, on the healthy side of that, the one wants the best for the people around them.
Yeah.
And so, like, part of that high expectations, part of that improvement ideal is that they are going to be offering help and guidance on the things that their partners need to work on.
Oh, I guess I could see that. I suppose I'm thinking like more foundational.
Right. If you go into a relationship expecting to improve the person that you're with, it's deeply unhealthy, and you should avoid people who are doing that.
Right.
1s and 2s and 6s. If their goal is to improve you, it's going to end badly.
Right.
But I think one of the things that ones bring to the table is that they are constantly looking to help other people live their best life.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
That is something, that's a good way to put it. That's what's being offered.
Yep.
In order to get love.
Yep.
So we made the joke, this isn't a romantic relationship, but when Cambry was on, I was talking about how I was giving her house buying advice.
Right.
That's me saying, I really care about you. You're important to me, and I want you to live your best life.
Right. Here's all of my wisdom about how to navigate the turbulent waters of home ownership.
Right. I'm going to earn others' loves. Ones are going to earn others' love by doing such a great job improving the lives of the people around them.
Right.
Of course, the opposite side of such ideals is when such love is not reciprocated. It's a place of frustration for ones.
Right.
I've earned this thing. Mm-hmm. Didn't you see the great job I did?
Yeah. And this is part of where you can see the angry side of frustration come out a little bit.
Yep. I don't know that we've talked extensively about this on the podcast, but there are two types of anger for ones. One is the anger that's frustration when your ideals aren't met out there. Mm-hmm. And then the other anger is the one more traditionally associated with ones, the anger itself of wanting yourself to improve.
Right. And I don't think those two things can necessarily be separated that easily, especially when talking about mainly about the anger outside, because when ones have anger outwardly, they're always going to then have anger inwardly.
Yeah. I'll tell you how it works in my heart is oftentimes if I do the self-analysis and I'm in check, then all my anger can just be pointed at whatever I'm judging as being defective and deficient out there. Sure. And that's part of that is self-defensiveness, is like, I don't want to feel terrible about how this thing went, but part of it's just, that's how the anger spills out.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Repressed center is their thinking. Does that materialize anywhere in how ones are trying to get love in their thinking repression?
So when I talked about sixes, I talked about sort of the boundaries. Like they want to know what the rules are so that they can follow the rules. And I think in a similar way, ones have some kind of rule book, like a set of moral principles or some kind of guidance, something that says this is right and this is wrong. And this is how they know how to navigate because of their thinking repression.
Yep.
And so when ones align themselves with a set of principles or beliefs or whatever, that means that outlines how to navigate the good life. And their thinking repression lives in this space where they don't process gray very well at all. So when these things come up, like they're continually reacting to their emotions, and they have a really hard time thinking about that until later. And that's where that anger itself plays a role, is that, oh, I did that thing wrong based on this set of principles by which I live my life, and now I'm going to beat myself up over it. And so, like, as they're offering love into the world, they don't necessarily see that other people don't align themselves to their chosen set of principles. And so they have a really hard time seeing that gray area and understanding it.
Yeah, on the opposite side of that, the thing I kept thinking was, here, the thinking repression comes in when love isn't reciprocated. You're trying to get love and you did all the things right. This person didn't love you. And you're like, why the hell didn't this person love me? I did all the things right. And the thinking repression's there. You can't analyze the situation cleanly.
And the answer is that person, like that love means something different to that person.
Yeah.
And you did all the things right according to your principles.
Yeah. You had, this is the way that romance ought to look.
Right.
And I jumped through all the hoops. These were the hoops.
Right.
It's good.
Yeah.
Nines want a peaceful relationship. I do think ones want some sort of, it's not an excellent relationship or a praiseworthy relationship in the same way as a 3 wants it.
Right.
But it's a sound relationship.
Yeah.
It's a healthy relationship.
Yep. Good and right and true. And
yeah.
And it's according to their own specific moral principles.
Yep.
So if there's a one out there that is heavily invested in the principles of moral polyamory, their commitment to their relationships are going to look different from someone who is entirely committed to a more traditional male-female monogamy.
Right.
Setup,
yeah.
You know?
I think that the people who are really feisty about like gender roles and such are either control freaks or, I mean, I suppose ones can be control freaks, but it's oftentimes it's the folks, it's the ones who are saying this is the right way to do marriage. Male roles, female roles. This is how it's going to function.
Right. And I think there are a lot of ones represented in that kind of idealism. And it's entirely about, like, they align themselves with a certain set of principles, and this is the best way for the world. Why don't you see it?
Yeah. They are the idealists, so they're pulling others into that kind of vision, and they're doing it now. Their stance is present, so it's all right. We need to work on this now. Can't wait for tomorrow. We're gonna fix this now. We're gonna do this now.
Yep.
Pulling you into that vision of the best possible relationship in this moment.
Yeah. Active and reactive, and I think that there are several types who don't ever want to have the fight. There are types that want to have the fight soon, and there are types that want to have the fight right this second. And I think 8s in particular want to have it right this second, and I think 1s want to have it right this second. Because if we delay it, then something's wrong. And I think it's tied to that idealism, is that if we are working toward this kind of ideal that I have in my head, and we don't solve this right now, then we may never get there.
Yeah. For me, as you're talking, what I heard was motive, like, or even the fear for ones. We don't want to be corrupt. And if there's a splinter in our relationship, then that's a corruption. There's something nasty inside that we need to purge.
Yep.
If it just remains there, that would be terrible. This is actually, as I'm talking through the ones now, that I'm realizing a lot of you may have romantic relationships or relationships that are much more mature than what we're saying. I'm thinking through a lot of this, thinking this is where we struggled for the first 5 years, but we developed tools over time. And now I'm much better at letting, we can solve that problem tomorrow. That's a very common thing, actually, in our house.
Right.
Because oftentimes the way that I fight is in the present moment. The way my wife fights is she does want space to process. And that would make sense. That's how she takes in the world. She's a heart center. So we should talk about fighting. I didn't even think about this. But she needs to get the conflict into the past so that she can analyze it. And that's why she doesn't want to fight right now.
Sure.
Whereas I want to fight right now because there's something that is
threatening to undo us.
Yeah, that's in the relationship that needs worked on.
Yeah.
I think we hit everything for the ones. Anything else we're saying?
I think that one thing that's really important to know about ones is that, like 3s, but for a very different reason, a lot of their value and how they see themselves has to do with their accomplishments. And so they need recognition for that. They don't necessarily need full-on praise like 3s do, but they do need recognition. And more importantly, if you're going to partner with a 1, part of your partnership will be in the things that you do together.
Sure. 8s, 9s, 1s, we are what we do.
Yep.
But you're right, though, in terms of that is, again, that's how the 1 is often loving the other person, is by pulling them into
projects and activities and achievements. And
the way that you're making things better.
Yep.
We're going to make our family better together. We're going to make our house better together. We're going to make our country better together.
Right.
Whatever it is, the thing that the 1 thinks is really, 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 really valuable often is what's there.
Right.
Our body, the workoutaholics, we're going to make our bodies better together. So here, I got us gym passes.
That's the thing.
And
thank God that is not part of how you and I are connected to each other. We would have stopped being friends long ago.
There is some energy about, TJ, we're going to make a podcast better together.
Great.
That never is a conversation for us, is it?
That's most of what we talk about.
But it's got energy. I mean, you got to do something.
It's true.
Your presence matters in those spaces significantly.
That's true. And you do all the work for me. I just have to show up. It's easy.
Come on.
It's great.
It's not terrible being united with the 1.
I did not say that for a second.
Inner critic is popping up.
There it is.
See, everybody else, I feel like, okay, so dear listener, You're one of the other types, and you think that we're picking on you the whole time because we're just talking through the system. Just know when it gets to ones for me, I'm just like, holy crap!
I'm pretty sure everyone else heard something really positive.
Yeah,
that I
that's
just
it.
said. That
I'm sure.
about relationship with the wands. You're doing something together. That's great news.
Yeah, see, that has a positive. All right. Well, hey, it would mean the world to us if before you turn this podcast off, give us some stars on iTunes or on Spotify because you love this material. Even better, you have friends who you want to love and they want to love you, but sometimes you just don't have the language. And this might be a great place to talk about how you do relationship. This might be a fantastic catalyst for some of you in the relationship that you're presently in and saying, this is the thing that I do. And I'm trying to understand why you do what you do. And that I have found, I'm sure TJ can affirm this in his own relationships, it's some of the best conversations I have with people who mean the world to me.
Same.
Well, as always, you can find all the links to all of our stuff at aroundthecircle.org. The music here is by The Collection and now by the Brian Claxton, our pal, loaning us some jazz for the outro here. Actually, you can find Brian's stuff on Spotify. Lots of great stuff. Claxton, Claxton. Fantastic musician. So that's what I got. You got anything else?
I got nothing, man.
He's TJ Wilson. He is officially loved. And I'm Jeff Cook. And who you aren't isn't interesting. Be who you are. Set the world on fire.